Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the We Got This Facebook group page. Today, we have a special, and the special that we're going to be talking about is all about breast cancer awareness. So, as most of us know, October is all about breast cancer awareness. And the reason why we need to have these conversations is because so many of us do not realize the importance of giving self examinations, what to look for, or not even just the awareness, but there's also people that have been affected by breast cancer that want to share their story so that they could give back for in memory of a woman that has either went through it, or they didn't. I never like to say lose their battle. They just had another redirection in their spirit and in their life. But I want us to all have a platform where we're able to celebrate them as well as be aware of ourselves and our body. So I have these amazing women here. I have Tina, Kim, Mary, Kristen, who are here to we're going to go popcorn style and talk about it. And how we're going to kick it off is I'm going to be very vulnerable with you all. And I shared it with the ladies just before we came on live here. One of the reasons I really feel like it's not feeling one of the reasons it is very important for us to have these conversations of awareness of our, of situations that can happen within our own body is I am a woman, for example, that I'm scared to touch my breasts. And what I mean by that is not to actually touch them, but to do the examination because of that fear of what if. But I know I need to change that because even if there was something there, being aware of it and being able to be proactive is definitely what we want to do. So I wanted to bring these amazing ladies to help me get over my own limiting belief and fear, as well as I want to celebrate the lives and the women that have went through this, going through this, know that they are supported and they are so loved, and just that we really need as women to really understand our body as a whole. So we are going popcorn style. Or maybe I'll go, it's easier probably to go in one by one by one by one. So I'm going to start with Miss Beautiful Tina Rose. Tina, if you can just please introduce yourself and then just tell us about your background, what you know about the breast cancer. And we're going to go, I'm going to feature you, going to pull you up and definitely let us know. I appreciate you. I just want to say again, thank you so very much, all of you ladies, for taking out the time. And I know there's so many people here watching right now, whether it be live or on the replay, that's going to really appreciate this. And it's going to buzz in their ear the next time, it comes for that time there. So I'm going to just put you as a highlight. So, and then I'll put you back. Okay. So Miss Tina Rose, it's all you, girlfriend.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Ah!
I am a women's healthcare nurse practitioner. So, and I've been a nurse practitioner for 35 years. So, breast cancer is near and dear to my heart, both personally as well as professionally. My baby sister was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1999, and it was a very large breast cancer. She was 31 years old, but every year now on April 7th, which was the day she was diagnosed, she celebrates life. So she just celebrated 22 years, 23 years cancer free. And and I was already a nurse practitioner for 10, 11 years before she was diagnosed. So it was the hardest thing I ever had to do because she actually found out her pathology on the phone with me, and she was reading it and she didn't know what it meant because the doctor's office, the pathology office, thought they were faxing it to the doctor's office and they faxed it to her. So breast cancer, and there was no breast cancer in my family other than my sister. So she was genetically negative. It just came out of the blue at such a young age. And what I want to say is we've come so far. Breast cancer, thanks to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but more and more people are getting their screening and doing their breast self exams. But Camille, I have heard over the years, so many of my patients have said, when it was a question I asked every single one of my patients, because I was a women's healthcare professional, every single one of my patients had breasts. So I would ask, the first question I would ask them is, do you do your breast self-exam? And many of them said, I'm afraid to, I don't want to find anything. I'm afraid I'll find something. And what I have to do is I have to turn that conversation around and say, you need to have a fear of not finding something, because that's when we're not going to have the ability to treat it. I can see my ring light in my glasses. So um, we're not going to have the ability to treat it as well as, and the success rate is less if it's has a chance to grow and spread to other tissues. So it really, really is important to do your breast self-exam. My sister found her lump by mistake. She was not doing a breast self-exam, but she was in bed one night and bumped into it or something. And then she goes, "Oh, what's that?" So it had grown to 2.5 centimeters before she found it. And again, you're going to find it but do you want to find it when it's the size of a grain of sand, or do you want to find it when it's the size of a golf ball? That's the thing. It is so prevalent that, and when my sister was diagnosed, I realized myself, I'm 6 years older than she is, and so I had to start my mammograms early because when she was diagnosed, so before the age of 40, I started my mammograms. And I was doing my breast self exams, but when she called me and she bumped into it, her first thought, my first thought was, "Oh, you're young. It's probably a cyst. When's your, next period due? Oh, in a couple of weeks. It'll go away after your period." She called me the next morning. That was at midnight when she called me. She called me the next morning and says, "It's hard." And I said, "You don't do a breast exam. You don't know what's hard is. It might feel hard to you, but at any rate, even the pathologist, the surgeon who removed the lump, didn't think it was cancerous because her body had put a wall around it. It grew really fast. So Camille and all my other patients that are out there, anybody who is afraid to do your breast self-exam, turn that fear around and learn to be afraid of not doing your breast self-exam, because logically that not doing it isn't going to prevent something from being there. And would you rather it get caught early? Mammogram misses some. I have a dear friend right now, and I'm thinking about her and praying for her as we speak, who is in the midst of, she's halfway through her chemo treatment today. She did have a very large lump, 4.9 centimeters, and they thought it was a cyst, but she knew it was growing, and she insisted she go back and get it taken care of. So I don't want to take anybody else's time. So that's my background. I do consider myself, breast specialist. I've had to tell too many people those words, that they have breast cancer. So I urge women to do their breast self exams, get their screening tests, and know that it is not a death sentence.
Yeah, I have to say, I didn't even think of it that way. And I love how you said how, what if there is something and becomes worse? That's actually worse than actually finding it. I never thought about it in that way. And when you look at it that way, it is important. And one other point that you really touched on that, I find that we need to talk about a lot as well is what I'm finding now is that there is no age limit to breast cancer. I used to think breast cancer happened later on in ages, but you said your sister was only 31 years old. We're even seeing it with, in younger.
20,
So
26
you
was,
see,
she in her treatment center, she had another woman there who was 26.
so it's important that we're even teaching our next generations, and again, stop with about the fear of it being there, and let's more so
And
get.
about the younger ages too, we have come so far in treatment modalities also, because 22, 23 years ago, when my sister was diagnosed, I fell apart because I thought I knew too much. And in my world, young women with breast cancer didn't survive.
Wow.
That's how it was back then. She certainly proved us wrong. We now know differently how to treat it, because postmenopausal breast cancer is a whole different disease
You
than
know,
premenopausal breast cancer. And so that, and then we have hormone receptor positive status and hormone receptor negative status. So we had to learn how to treat each of them differently. And that's why it's so important for that early diagnosis to get that right treatment. So no longer is early breast cancer unheard of, but also it's no longer a death sentence.
Oh, I love that. And Tina, that actually segues into my next question, which I'm gonna ask Kristen, and then we're gonna go down to Mary. Think that was so important. Tina, I have a girl crush on you, and especially that brain of yours. I tell you, like Tina is um, so has a wealth of knowledge. So definitely, Tina, when this is done, we want to make sure, and both Mary and Kristen, please put your socials in the comments on the Facebook after this live, because every woman needs to know you ladies, because we all have our specialties in the wellness, but the thing that we have that's together is we want wholeness in us all, and it starts with education and putting ourselves in the arenas and taking the action. So my question that actually segues from what Tina was saying, which is also I didn't know about, is I had no idea that there was different types of breast cancer. So a lady that wanted to come on here, I don't want to say her name because wasn't able to come on, but she has an amazing story. And what it is that she had her sister, unfortunately, the battle didn't, I don't like this, the word loss just overwhelms me. So you understand what I'm saying. She's no longer physically with us. She passed away at age 42. Now with her sister, she didn't have a lump on her breast. She had a rash on her breast. So it was something different. So she really wanted to come on to this live to tell us women about the rashes that we should be aware of. So I wanted to ask Kristen, are you familiar with the like I know that you are the prevention or any of that stuff are there? Have you ever heard of it? Or Tina or
Yes.
No, in relation to breast cancer, no, I haven't heard that.
That's a different type of breast cancer.
We could talk about that, and then Kristen, I know that you have the breast cancer preventative, and then Mary, I want you, if you can, really, just we'll get to you. You know what I'm talking about, girlfriend. Okay, so I would love just about the rash one because this is
the rash around the nipple is called Paget's disease. Paget's is another type of breast cancer, very hard to detect. I did have one patient in my 35 years that also passed away from Paget's. It is very aggressive, and it's very difficult to get that early treatment because people think it's just a rash. They're going to go see the dermatologist before they see the oncologist. They're going to, but anything that persists, and we are trained, the gynecologists and women's health providers are all trained now that any type of a itch or a rash, sometimes it's not even a rash, it's just an itch or a sensation that persists, needs to get evaluated for Paget's disease of the breast is what it is.
Great. I just wanted that out there because that was new to me. And again, awareness is,
women.
And it affects, she passed away at 42. And I hope that she gets a chance to watch the replay, but I do want to say this in honor of her. She now has the out of the tragedy of her sister's passing, she now has become super anti and has been present the last month here. Her sister's children have made grandchildren for her. So in honor of her sister, she is so present for her, her, what do you call auntie grand, but I love how she said, I'm here for my sister's children. Her legacy still lives on through all of us. And she said it's so beautiful to see these, and she sent me the baby pictures. They were literally just born like 2 weeks apart, and she said just seeing them just shows the the legacy of her sister. And I just want to say to my dear friend, her legacy carries on in her children, in her grandchildren, and you are her sister's keeper. And I know that she's always around you and loving you so very much for taking that role. So I appreciate your story, and thank you for allowing me to share it too as well. And she's always an advocate for. So I just wanted to honor her for that one because that was a huge. Now, Miss Kristen, my beautiful. So I just want to tell everybody. I think I'm going to be telling this story until like we're going to be like, on a rocking chair laughing about it. The story with Kristen and I is we just happened to randomly meet on Facebook, just random, not even a Toronto, not a group of anything. It was just a random connection, and we live less than 5 minutes apart from each other. Of all the billions of people on Facebook. It's crazy. And we are very common in common interests. And I would love for Kristen to tell us about who she is, who she serves, and definitely about your stories with breast cancer awareness. I'm going to highlight you. So we're diving down. You're coming on up, girlfriend.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Camille. So, yeah, so I'm a holistic nutritionist. I've been in the wellness space for the past 28 years. It's what I eat, breathe, and sleep. And I think, gosh, my oldest is going to be 20. So I would say 19, 20 years ago is when I really stepped into the natural or the holistic space. I was kind of always weird about it. I was that person, right? And so there was just a calling in from my spirit, from my gut, saying, you know what, we need to look at this direction. So when I had kids, I completely changed everything over. And one of the things that I learned, and I teach today, as a nutritionist, as a health practitioner, is I teach that toxicity, what toxicity does within our body, because I'm really about prevention. I do believe that alkalizing the body is really important. Disease thrives, cancer thrives in an acidic environment. So, what I have a passion for is teaching women, individuals, but especially women when we're talking about this topic. Although I'm hearing that there are a lot of cases now of men actually developing breast cancer. So, we have to look at what can we do, and what can we do to really create healthier bodies within ourselves, because disease thrives in our body when there's an environment that allows the disease to thrive. And I always use the fish tank analogy. And what that is that if you have a fish tank and the water is clean, the fish inside is swimming around and he's happy. But what happens when you have a fish tank that now the water becomes dirty, right? You can clearly see that this water is dirty. What happens? The fish become sick because the water they're swimming in is dirty. And it's exact same thing within our body. If our environment is dirty and swampy, which we look at, and I mean, I could go on literally, I could go on and on and on about this, but I know we're going to keep it short. Is we have to do more talks on this type of topic. But if our lymphatic system, which is our sewer system, the waste sewage system of our body, if it's not being cleaned regularly, and because of the toxins in our environment that we're breathing in, I mean, the toxins in our environment nowadays are very different from even 10 years ago, even 20 years ago, and when our grandparents were around. Or maybe they still are around, but when they were growing up. So we have to look at our environment. How can we live a lifestyle of cleaning up our body, like the food that we eat? As a nutritionist, yes, I talk a lot about food, but I also talk a lot about preventing. How can we use evidence-based nutrition to help keep our body clean, to help focus on building a strong immune system so that our body is able to fight whatever is coming our way, right? So I basically focus on that environmental area where we're detoxifying on a daily basis. I focus specifically teaching a lot on the foods that we're eating. Can we choose foods that are going to alkalize our body? Because we know Linus Pauling, I always forget his name, but he actually won a Nobel Prize award many years ago, that cancer cannot thrive in an environment within the body of 7.2 or higher. So it's important to make sure that we are really consuming foods, is one thing, consuming foods in our body that are going to create more alkalinity, but also making sure we're focusing on our thoughts and focusing on, being around people like these women here that are, that we love to be around, managing stress to help us to move forward into creating an environment. This is the key thing I want you to take away as I close up here, is creating an environment with us where disease cannot thrive. And it's 100% possible, because that's what I do and that's what I live. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop myself.
No, I love it. So I don't know if you guys could see the backstage, but I can. Tina just came off because she has guests coming. But while you were talking, she's just like,
Yeah.
we were talking about the prevention and the toxicities that are happening in our,
I couldn't see it.
environment, and that preventative. Like, we really need to be more aware of what we're putting in our system, because I'm huge on nutrition too. Like that this instant gratification of processed food is killing us. And it's really putting in a lot of toxins into our body that is counteracting
Yes.
what our body actually does. And, it's also even removing those good bacteria out of our system. And as we know, we're all here in the wellness industry. We know the power of good bacteria versus bad bacteria, whether it be in our fitness, our mental health, our diabetes, cancers. There's a lot of things that are that we're consuming that do have factors as to why we're getting these. A lot of people are getting sicker faster and younger.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
actually all three of us that are here right now are very heavy on our nutrition, what we put into our systems, because we understand the importance of food. And when I mean the importance of food, is food can either be a killer, or it could be not, or it could be, or what it's meant to be for, which is to be a
Yeah.
nourishment of our body. Because everything this world has created naturally has been created for us to thrive and survive. It is us humans that have interfered with the productions of
Yep.
the foods, unfortunately, completely messing up our whole makeup, because it's not what was naturally meant to be within our system. So I love what we do here, and this is why I sing it to the choir, because everyone needs to understand with understanding about the awareness of the self-examination, understanding the foods that you're putting into your system and how it can affect you overall, and why nutrition isn't about eating kale chips. It's about having a great, when we say diet too, we're not talking about taking away all macros and all this stuff. It's about your diet, meaning what you're putting into your system, the power
Yeah.
of it too as well. Tina, I was saying that when I know you have people over, so I just was saying that when Kristen was talking, you always see, yes,
And I was giving a lot of thumbs ups,
yes,
and it's
yeah.
like, yes, I love hearing that. And that, especially, the pH and the gut health, that's my thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys need to
Awesome.
know. Don't. I like to say this, don't threaten Tina with gut health information, because she's ready. She's ready. So I love it, and
All roads lead to the gut.
yeah, exactly. And we're going to have another discussion in the coming weeks again about gut. I'm always about talking about the gut, and I love to talk about it in different perspectives. So that's why I like to have us all there. Even though we all know it, it's not about knowing it, it's about adding more value
Yeah.
to the conversation. So I absolutely love it. So as I just was saying, we just finished talking about, self-examination, not being afraid of it, and what to look for, and that there's diverse types of breast cancer. And then Kristen was talking about the preventative, and the toxicity levels for
Toxic.
nutrition. And now I would love my beautiful friend Miss Mary to also, sorry, I just had to smile. That just made me smile when I said that. My husband's mom, her name is Mary. Her nickname was Miss Mary, and she was one of my best friends. And I'm just not going to talk anymore because I'm going to get emotional, because she did pass away over the last year. So it just made me smile when I just said that Miss Mary, just, anyways, because you can see I'm a loving person. But maybe that's why I love you so much, Mary. And just before Mary comes, I'm just going to tag in another guest that just came up, and we're going to get to Mary's discussion too, because I love that we're touching every part. So, hey, Crystal, who's shy to come on. She's like, I'm not camera ready. This is not about camera ready. You look great. I wanted to bring Crystal on here. This is one of my dear friends too, because as I said, Tina talked to us about different self-breast examination and different types of breast cancers you can have. Kristen talked to us about preventative measures and toxicities, and our nutrition and how it can affect our body and our gut health. Mary's going to have a discussion. Tell us about her story when it comes to breast cancer awareness. And then Crystal has a very short little. I like your story because it's crazy how people stumble upon this, or women. So I want you to tell your story, how you stumbled upon it. But first, I'd love to highlight my dear friend Mary, who I'm very honored that you are sharing this story with us. It means a lot. Not for just myself, but for everybody that's going to hear the story, and to really understand the impact of breast cancer to a family. So I'm going to just drop everybody else down, and I'll put my beautiful girlfriend, Mary, onto the stage. And Crystal, you look fantastic.
Thank you, Camille. And by the way, my best friend calls me Miss Mary, and so does her husband. So it's totally cool. I'm Mary Massey. I'm a lifestyle and business coach. I started my journey with nutrition and fitness because of my family genetics. And I always say that we are not our genes, we can change things around. But before I go into all of that, my story with cancer is that my mom was diagnosed at 29. At the time, she was, she had 3 kids. My little sister was very, very young. Unfortunately, cancer took her at the age of 32. I was only 11 years old. I had to be the little mommy of the household, take care of my brother, who was a year and a half younger than me, take care of my little sister, who was so much younger than me. She's 7 years younger than me. And that was such a huge impact to our family. Now, cancer does not run in my family. What happened with my mom was just one of those things. Unfortunately, this was back in 1983 or so. She had gone to the doctor, she felt a lump. The doctor told her to come back in 6 months. Now, you have to be an advocate for your own health. And a lot of the times, what happens with us is that we trust what the doctors say to us so much. Their word is law, and we don't, stray away from that. We don't think to ask other questions. We don't think to seek a second opinion. And one thing that I've learned over time is that you do have to do that. You are your best advocate. So yes, you have to do your breast exams. Yes, you have to make sure that you are getting, your checkups in and all of that. But you also have to look at everything else that you are doing with your life. How is your stress being managed? Are you exercising? How are you sleeping? There are so many things that go into being a woman. But unfortunately with us, this was the card that we were dealt. My dad was a young widower, and it just happened to be that if he hadn't been a good dad, who knows where we would be. But even so, even as good of a father as he was, my brother ended up developing a lot of issues, a lot of mental health related issues. And it really forced me to grow up from a very, very young age. I honestly cannot remember much about my childhood because there was just so much trauma there. So my way of honoring my mom is to give back to the community. And I know that with me being the person that I am, the person that I became over time, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to take care of myself. I want to be there for my babies. I want to be there for the ladies who really need me, because it's constantly around us. All of this disease, all of this anxiety, all of this stress, it's part of life, but it's all in how you handle it too. Like Kristen said, your nutrition is super, super important, and it comes to the point where you have to stop and say, you know what, I don't like the way that I'm feeling, or I need to start thinking of things a little bit differently and seek the help. Never be embarrassed to seek help. My doctor has had me getting breast exams and mammograms and ultrasounds since the time I was 25. I'm 48 now. Can you imagine how I felt when I turned 32 and I knew that my mom had passed away at the age of 32? When my daughter turned 11, I was 11 years old when my mom passed away. When she turned 11, I did the super freak because I was like, it's something that always follows you. Growing up without a parent, you have to grow up super, super fast, but you also have to become super hyper aware of what you are doing, how you're thinking, how you're living your life, so that it doesn't happen to your family. So that is my story when it comes to cancer. Now, I lead a benefit every year. It's called Zumba for the Cure. I'm a Zumba instructor also. And one of my close friends, she's a 22-year breast cancer survivor. So this is her 13th year with me, doing this big event called Zumba for the Cure. And we raised over $22,000 for American Cancer Society through Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. And it's been an amazing journey for us. And I hope that next year, we'll promote it a little bit more and reach out to the online community. I really appreciate Camille always being here and always giving me, the push that I need to put myself out there a little bit more. So I appreciate that. And for those of you who are struggling a little bit, who are feeling a certain way, just know that we have your back. You're not alone in this. All you need to do is just speak up. People don't know what you're going through unless you communicate. And there's a massive sisterhood here that you can count on. So thank you, Camille, for always being there. And thank you to all of you. If you have any questions, of course, you can always reach out for support. I'm a very, very, I'm always happy to hear, happy to listen. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
she is. And I just want to say thank you so much, Mary, for sharing that story. And it actually, it dawned on me, and it just hit my heart too, about those significant years, like your daughter's birth, like her being 11, or that year that you turned 32. And what I do want to say is I appreciate the fact that, you know, through everything that you had to go through, but from growing up faster, even, you know, of worst of it all, not having that mom there throughout the entire time of your life. Even though she may have gone at 11, that 11 years that you had with her really empowered you to now live your life now serving others, so that nobody else has to feel or go through what you went through. So I appreciate that you took your tragedy and you've made it through paying it. I mean, you've brought it into paying it forward, not only for just yourself, but for other people and other strangers. And that is powerful, and that's very impactful. So I thank your mom for making such an amazing, striving woman that really is impacting other women's lives through the legacy of your mother. So I thank you so very much. And Mary is not lying to you all. Again, she didn't say what she does, but yes, she does a Zumba instructor. She also is a certified personal trainer, nutritionist. And on top of that, she gets us women organized, us entrepreneurs organized with our socials, our business plan. So it's not only, so she's all about business and wellness, because you know what? It's not even and. There's wellness within a business that's working in a seamless system. When you don't have a business in a seamless system, that's chaos. And that's not wellness. And that brings up stress, hormones, and everything else in between. So that's why I know that you're very humble on that. And I thank you for that, Mary. Hopefully Crystal comes on camera. There she is. Okay, so I wanted to end off this amazing conversation. I'm going to do a really quick recap. And why I want to do a recap, because I want to show our audience how we talked about breast cancer awareness and different points. And I'm just loving, and I'm so thankful and grateful for your ladies' presence, because these replays are going to impact somebody, because it definitely impacted me. So we first talked with Tina about breast examinations and not being scared to touch the breast, because I am one that was scared to touch I'm scared to touch, because I'm scared of what if I find something. But you know what? I love how she said, what if something is there and you don't find it and it gets even worse? So it's even worse if you don't do the examination, as well as she showed us that breast cancer does not discriminate on age, and there's various types of breast cancer, not just one type, such as the rash or different types of lumps. So thank you for that, Tina. Kristen was talking about preventative measures, such as your nutrition, the importance of what you're putting into your gut, your gut health, the bacteria that's in your body, that it's not even just that, the toxicities that we're putting into our body and how it's impacting our overall health. So please be aware of the food. Food is meant to nourish your body, not to live in a glutton world where you just need to have that high on sugar. Love into the food, eat with intention, and you'll still enjoy all the foods and feel healthy. And Mary shared with us on another side of breast cancer, of being a child of a beautiful soul that is no longer with us due to breast cancer, and how she has, changed, convert. What she does right now is teaches others through wellness, to live a healthier life, and also that breast cancer is not hereditary. Right. So there was no family history, and, it still happened. But I love that she converted her tragedy into triumph, and she's living and walking in her grace right now and in her mom's legacy. And lastly, I have to introduce my dear friend, Crystal. Tina, I don't know if you have never met Crystal. This is Crystal, one of the GNC, one third of the Mom Link. So she's one of the founders of the Mom Link. Crystal, she's one of my chapter members who is like, I'm telling you, I'm in love with, I want to have an affair with Tina's brain. I just love, and I say that in a nice way. I just say it because I just love how she shares her information. She's a wealth of knowledge. And I wanted to bring Crystal on here because Crystal shared a story yesterday that I didn't even know about until yesterday, that I wanted to bring to the forefront, because I know there's so many women that this has happened to. And Crystal, I'm going to throw you up. Yes, you're getting the highlight. You look great. Definitely just share your story so everyone could hear.
Yes. Yes. Nice to meet you, ladies. Tina, nice to see you on camera. Camille, thank you for having this discussion, very important conversation, and getting me on here. to talk and share my story. I love sharing my story. When we share our stories, when we share even a story that we don't think has much impact, we actually truly don't understand the impact that it has to other people, who it resonates with, who touches them, and who inspires them. In my case, to listen to your intuition. And my story is exactly that. I had an intuition, I had a dream, I had a gut instinct. And sometimes we really need to trust it and listen to it. So I'd love to start by saying, Mary, your story really resonated with me as well. At the age of, I think I was 16 years old. My mom was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I also watched my mom battle a terminal illness. She is still alive today. She is thriving, but non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is not a curable cancer. And it's something that sits heavily on me every day. But she is a fighter. She is a survivor. And she is the reason why I'm the woman I am today. So this topic definitely hits home for me, most definitely. But what I wanted to do today is share a little story about following your intuition, listening to your gut instinct, and using that as a superpower, which I didn't for many years. I didn't use it as a superpower. I questioned it. I questioned my intuition. I wondered if I was just being paranoid. And I know that many of us do this. So it was about, gosh, maybe 10, 15 years ago, without disclosing my age over here. I was laying down on the couch at my mom's house. I was probably in my 20s, and I fell asleep on the couch mid-afternoon, and I was dreaming. And in my dream, I happened to put my hand on my breast and feel around, and I felt a lump. And when I woke up with realizing, coming out of this dream and saying, oh my goodness, I have a lump in my breast. And I went and I checked it out, and sure enough, the lump was there. So it was in my dream. It was my gut. It was my intuition telling me to check my breasts, and to make sure that, nothing was wrong or nothing was abnormal. And that's how I fell upon a lump that I had removed. It was benign, but I would have left it there, and it could have turned into cancer. It could have not turned into cancer, but I would have never known had I not listened to my intuition, had I not been brave enough to go and check. Because what Camille shared, that sometimes we're afraid to check. We don't want to know what's there, but the fear of the unknown can be a fearful thing. But the fear of, not knowing and letting it sit in our body and not being proactive and not doing anything about it is definitely more fearful. So I'm glad I listened to my intuition. It was a moment in my life that taught me to, moving forward, always listen to my gut, always trust my intuition, and know that you know your body better than yourself. And one thing I'm sure all of us ladies have learned in our healthcare journey is you need to be your own advocate in healthcare. Here in Canada, we've got an incredible, universal healthcare system. We've got free healthcare, but that is not enough. What is enough is being your own advocate in healthcare. If you get a response from a doctor you didn't really agree with, or your intuition or your gut is telling you, no, there's something more, I know it. Don't let anybody make you feel crazy. If you know it, then keep on searching for the right person who's going to help you find those answers. You fight for your own healthcare, for your kids' healthcare. Make sure you are advocating, especially as moms, for your kids, because our little ones don't necessarily have a voice of their own. And sometimes it is fighting with our healthcare system. No matter how fortunate we are here in Canada to have the healthcare system that we do, you still need to be your own advocate.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What I'm going to tell you, ladies, because I keep it real all the time. I just started this talk just to have a discussion on breast cancer awareness, and I learned way more than I had even anticipated. I really hope that everybody shares this. I know we went a little longer than we usually do, but this was so informative, and this needs to be shared. This is going to be streamed on Facebook, it's on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Please share this out with all the women that you know, because again, I'm going to summarize it really quickly. We talked initially about the checking it and not being afraid. We talked about prevention as well as toxicities. We talked about what happens with that, when there has been I don't like to say loss, when someone has lost their battle, but they've also learned how to be an advocate for themselves, as well as change their whole lifestyle to teaching others about the importance of having great health. And really, you know what that shows me too as well, just not taking your own self for granted. And number 4, which was the last one, which is trusting your intuition. And I always say this too, really get to know your body. We know our bodies the most. And if there's something that feels a little off, definitely speak up. If somebody tells you something that you're just not feeling, investigate. But most importantly, don't do anything. Do something, do something, speak up, support another, because you know what? Support goes a long way. And definitely know that we have an opportunity to, yes, we have these situations that happen to us, but now we have more information, and let's take that information and know that I had to put this on. You got this, right? So again, I want to thank you ladies so very much. Please share this out. Again, this is a great information. We touch on almost every different area of the spectrum of breast cancer, and as well as me being the person that I'm honest with you, I don't know that much. So the informs just got very informed. So I appreciate you all. I know everybody here listening appreciates you all, and let's continue to speak up, stand up, and show up for our women, because we got this.
Yes. Camille, can I jump in and say thank you to you ladies? You literally just switched something for me today. Do you know what I'm going to do when I get off this live? I'm going to call my friends. I'm going to call each one of my girlfriends and ask them, have you checked your breasts today? Have you checked your breasts lately?
Love that.
And it's so, we don't think about doing that for each other. And it sometimes feels awkward or uncomfortable. Let's break the stigma. Let's break the uncomfortableness and ask the right questions, because that right question can save a life. And I have boys, but if I had daughters, I'd be making sure they know how to check their breasts from day one, and not making it anything that's uncomfortable or awkward. So I appreciate each and every one of you ladies. Camille, this was incredible.
Oh, this was awesome. And you know what? I challenge you all, ladies. Let's all continue to spread and call in everybody, not just in October, but all year round. I thank you all for sharing your time with me, which I know is so valued. But this information, again, was great value. And please share with all those that it's all available for you all. And lastly, you beautiful ladies, make sure to write your socials into the comments, because everybody needs to know who you are, who you serve, and how to get in contact with you. Love you all. Have yourself a fantastic Friday. Air hugs. And as I always say, you got this. We got this. Now let's go. Thank you, ladies. You all be well.
Okay. Bye.